home building and remodeling show. Let's go. Welcome everybody to the home building and remodeling show. My name is Chris Kirby and I'll be your host. I am the owner of 3 construction companies on the Alabama Gulf Coast. The show is about residential construction. We're going to cover topics of home building and remodeling. Are you thinking of doing a remodel or building a home? Are you a contractor looking to improve your knowledge base or grow your business? Have you ever done a remodel project or built a home? There were so many things you wish you knew or that you could have done differently during the process. Then this show is for you. We break down the process of building and remodeling and how to have the best results during your project. Whether you're a DIYer looking for tips, someone looking to hire a contractor to do a project, or a contractor looking to expand your knowledge base or your business. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you. Stay tuned. We kick off the show with my thoughts on home building and remodeling. I'll share best practices and talk about some of our experiences in business and out in the field. These shared thoughts and lessons learned are meant to help you on your very own journey. Let's go. Thinking about building your dream home, don't let it become a nightmare. Most people will make one of these costly mistakes, and some of them will shock you. Stick around to avoid budget blowouts, bad builders, and design disasters. Number 1 on the 10 biggest mistakes people make when building a custom home is the budget. People don't understand how much it costs to build a house. So the more you can educate yourself and your builder can educate you on the cost, other than the construction cost of the home, the better you'll be throughout the process. So let's talk about some of the things that come up during a build that make your budget bust. And one of the things that commonly come up are the cost for utility hookups, such as sewer connections, water connections. Due to the fact that you're on public or private sewer, there could be costs for well, there could be costs for a septic tank. These are costs that are unassociated with the build that usually fall on the client themselves. So for instance, the builder isn't going to be responsible for making sure that you have the water connection there. However, they can help you navigate the process with the municipality that you live in or the county that you live in to make sure that the connection is done. They're just not going to pay for it. It has to be put in your name. But those are some of the small things that can bust the budget right off the bat. A couple of other things that we always see during the process of a home build is there's a lack of contingency in the budget for changes. And we want to make sure that you understand you need to set aside some money, have some contingency money for the changes that you want to make to your home. And this is important because you get the plans designed, but the process of doing a home build takes a while. And throughout the process, you may have inspiration or you may see something else or ideas that you want for your home, and you can make those changes. It's just when is the right time to bring it up? When is the right time to let your builder know? And because it is more costly to do changes at certain stages of the build than it is earlier in the game. So the sooner the better is my suggestion to you. So another cost I want to talk about that can bust your budget or make you go over budget from the client side is the site work. So this is something that your builder should talk to you about, but a lot of times in the beginning stages, let's just say you have land that you need cleared or you have to bring in an extraordinary amount of dirt to get the site ready for construction. Those are costs most time that that are unassociated with the construction phase, and the builder, you're going to have to get someone to do those for you. So for instance, a tree clearing service, a land clearing service, a company that's going to come in and build that site up a little bit. Now the builder will be involved to make sure that the elevation and certain things are done correctly. A lot of times this isn't discussed up front, but it is something that you need to be aware of, is making sure that the site preparation, you have set aside some money for the site preparation. Those are costs that are associated with the project, but they're not necessarily construction costs that the builder is going to
be responsible for. Another expense you need to be aware of that could bust your budget is a survey. So again, these are a lot of the pre-construction steps that are not a part of the build process or part of the construction process. The builder may not include this into the price. You have to make sure that you have a survey from a surveying company, and that is a requirement, at least in our municipality, to make sure that the site is accurate, that the house is staked out, and that you are benchmarking where your house needs to go. That means the elevation and different things are correct and can be built up to where they need to be per code. This is something that a survey company will do, and it's something that you need before you build your house. Number 2 on our 10 big mistakes people make when building a custom home is choosing the wrong builder. And yes, I am a builder, but I'm going to talk about this. Sometimes the client and builder relationship aren't a match. And so you need to be aware of and understand who you're working with, and you need to really vet their background. Sometimes it could be as simple as timelines, right? The builder's timelines and your timeline don't match. There's a trust factor and experience. There's also the type of home that you're wanting to build. If you have an ideal home and you know certain builders have built these homes, those are the builders that you need to talk to. Not that a new builder could not do the home, but it's just a history of success in building the style of home that you like. So make sure that when you are getting ready to build your home, one thing I want to make sure of is that you never go with the cheapest bid. Not that the cheapest bid means there's going to be poor craftsmanship or the work isn't going to be up to snuff. However, it does mean that there may be something that the builder or remodeler, but in this case, the builder has forgotten to put into the bid, and usually there's a reason that they're the cheapest. Also, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're going to go with the highest bid either. So make sure there's a balance. This is continuing number 2 of our 10 big mistakes people make when building a custom home. Your builder is your biggest asset or your worst nightmare. And the relationship during a build is the most important thing, because the communication and that foundation from the beginning, picking the right builder, is super important. And most of the time, there is a gut feeling associated with picking that person. However, due to constraints in the budget, due to constraints in the timeline, it may not match up. And so you choose somebody based on those requirements instead of that gut feeling you have when you interviewed what you felt like was the right builder or a good builder for you and your project. I would say if you can wait, or if you can figure the budget piece out, go with the builder that you feel the best about. Number 3 on the 10 biggest mistakes people make when building a custom home is poor communication. So this is something that you're going to hear. It should be on all top 10 lists. Communication, over communicating. I say over communicating like it's a bad thing, but it's a good thing. You want to make sure that your builder is communicating with you at a frequency that you've decided on from the beginning. Make sure that there are set meetings, there are set dates, and there are set daily communication parameters. What I mean is, in the contract, there should lay out some sort of a communication timeline and a medium. Are you going to allow emails? Are you going to allow text? Is there a certain start and stop time of the day that they're going to do work? Is there a certain start and stop time to even communicate with the builder, or the builder communicate with the client? And the reason I say this is because this is twofold. Communication goes both ways. The builder should always be communicating the task list, the completion, the priorities, the delays, the budget, all of these things. They should be communicating to you, the client, that stuff on a daily basis. However, the timing of that communication could affect the entire build. If they're letting you know these things at after 8 o'clock, let's just say on a weeknight, probably not the best idea. So I know it sounds tedious to really have to talk about these things, but it is very important to set parameters, and also you have to honor those same parameters. During the process of a home build, the communication is key. However, again, letting something settle before you communicate with the builder could help you as the home buyer, home builder, client to make sure that you understand that things happen during a build. And if you communicate while emotional or while you're upset, then something could trigger the builder and it could turn into an argument. So let's just say you do get a bad news or a bit of bad communication or delay or something happens in the project from your builder at 7:30 at night, okay? They didn't text you after 8. They didn't call you after 8. That was the parameter you set. How are you going to respond? Are you going to come back even though it's late? You're upset about the delay. Are you going to respond to the builder in a negative manner outside of the parameters that you set, super early in the morning, super late at night? Those things can start to erode the relationship during the process of a build. And if you overstep those boundaries too many times, the builder will feel burnt out. They also will feel like they can't deliver bad news to you without a repercussion of you being overly emotional, or it makes them want to avoid communication. And so you'll start seeing limited communication from the builder, and that's not what you want. So again, number 3 on the top 10 mistakes people make when building a custom home is poor communication.
And now we move into Shop Talk. It's the portion of the show where I bring in a co-host and we cover trending topics in home building and remodeling. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
All right, welcome back for season 2 of the Home Building and Remodeling Show. I'm back here with my co-host Adam, and we're going to jump right in. Season 2, we've changed a lot of things. We're going to open it up and have a little more fun with the podcast. We're going to be bringing you different tips and tricks. We're going to talk about mistakes people make, stuff to avoid when doing construction. We're going to bring you the real stories from not only our employees and workers and team here, but some of the clients that we work with, some of the vendors, some of the hardships that we go through. And we're going to kick off the season with the 10 common mistakes people make when building a custom home. The first thing on the list is people don't realize how much it costs to build a home. So on average, and I got this information from the National Association of Home Builders, people are going 10 to 20% over on their budget. And it's so frustrating because we've been kind of dealing with this when people are expecting to get a production budget with a custom home.
Right.
All right. And one of the things that's hard, because Adam here does all of our estimating and bidding. Some people call it a bid. Some people call it a quote, estimate, whatever you want to call it. It has different terms. But what's been hard for you as it relates to the budget and for the clients?
Lately, I've been picking up on the under roof and the heat and cooled square foot.
So what do you mean? So he said the under roof and the heated and cooled. What do you mean by square footage under roof and the heated and cooled square feet?
So the heat and cooled square foot is all the space that you have your AC and your heater works. So your livable space.
Livable space.
The rest of it is like your garage, porches, and all that fun stuff.
So, and what we've learned is we had a client that we're working on the budget right now for trying to reduce the cost. And they come in with, and a lot of clients won't tell us what their budget is. Right. So let me tell you, if you're somebody who's generally interested in building a custom home and you're listening to this,
be open with your budget.
Yep. Let them know, because we're going to give you the works, or we won't know where to even start with your budget. This is a custom home, not a production home. So it's hard to just box you into a number. So it's super important that if you know what your numbers are, and I know what it is, clients will feel like if they tell you, hey, my budget is $450,000, you're going to come in at $449,000.
Right.
And that's just not true. Especially us, we're not going to do that. But this client had given us a budget, and you were finding it hard after the drawings were done.
Well, in our meeting, we discussed square footage.
Yeah.
They told us the square footage, gave us their budget, and
we were like,
yeah, we can make that happen.
Yeah.
But then when we get the plans, the heat and cooled square footage matched what they were talking about, and then there was additional 15 or 1,700 square foot.
And that's something that I've always struggled with, even when I was estimating. People don't understand that a square foot price, right, is typically based off of that heated and cooled. So, hey, I'm getting a 1,700 square foot house. It's $200 a square foot. You know, that's $340,000. Okay, sounds good. Then you got the plans, and there's another 1,000 square foot under roof, porches, a screen porch, the extra garage space. All of that isn't heated and cooled, but it costs money. And in your case, it was the same thing. We had our person, Rob, draw the plans for the client. And when they got sent to us, you know, their square footage had dang near doubled.
Yes.
Because they had porches and different things. So the struggle was, we told them, hey, you know, this square foot for your budget is no problem. Now, all of a sudden,
yeah,
it was dang near $100,000 over, and it was because of the porches and different stuff. And so what we're trying to figure out, what we're trying to balance is how to make sure the client knows
right,
that all of this stuff costs money.
Yeah.
So you can't say 1,700 square foot heated and cooled and then add all the space.
Right, because that basically makes us have to, you know, pay for that portion of the bill.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does become frustrating from their perspective, because they're like, well, I was told I could get this square footage and it's no problem. It goes back to just knowing what things cost. And even from our side, if we know your budget, we could have probably talked a little bit more about, hey, heated and cooled square footage is, and we'll just kind of generally talk about it for us, you know, $185 and up for heated and cooled square footage. And then the other unheated spaces, they do cost a little bit different, right? It's less to build a carport than it is a heated and cooled space or a bathroom or a kitchen. So, but we still have to average that in to the total cost of the budget.
Right.
So when you're looking at the plans or home plans online, and you see, typically they give you a breakdown, right? You've got your main home, heated and cooled, or living space. They may say heated and cooled space, or they may say living space on the plans. And then that's going to be, let's just say 1,500 square feet. And then your under roof number may be 2,500 square feet, because you've got 200 square foot of porches, a sunroom, or a carport, or a garage. You can't lock into that heated and cooled or living space number as the square foot of your home. The footprint or the under roof is the number. What else do you notice in the budget? Because you've been doing this for a long time, especially on the remodeling side and more new to the new home side. But what are some other things that you notice in the budget that people don't understand, that we've been trying to better educate people in general?
The landscaping.
Oh, yeah. So we started,
because they don't understand that it's code for you to
do certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you mean? What do you mean by code when you say that, for people who don't understand that part?
The dirt that you disturb, you have to cover it with sod.
Yeah. You got to basically put it back. Yeah. You got to put some sort of a permanent setting back. And those are one of those things we've actually ultimately, we took it off of an allowance. So we used to give them a landscaping allowance, and we went on ahead and moved that landscaping portion off. And then now we just do the final grade and sod. And then anything beyond that, we're going to connect them with a landscaper. I'll go ahead and tell you a story. We had a guy in Gulf Shores that built a house that was 1,000 square foot and ended up with $44,000 worth of landscaping. And our budget for his landscaping was, I can't remember if it was $2,500 or $5,000. Because it was just for the sod and, you know, maybe some straw or maybe some mulch. And I don't know what all he got, but $44,000, you know, bringing in trees. And so that was a big lesson for us to learn. We really can't control that much variety in a house. So we took it off the allowances. Allowances are a big one. We do fixed fee contracts for the construction portion, and then we give them allowances. So that's the credits and debits. And can you explain a little bit how that works for our budget?
So we have a good, better, best portion for our allowance items. You know, when we do our interviews, we kind of get a feel for where they want to be with their decorative stuff. So usually everybody kind of falls in the good or better.
Yeah, they
you
want
know
to
what
be.
I mean?
Yep.
And then, so we give allowance money for that. And so let's say you give $500 for a sink, they get a $300 sink, and at the end of the bill, we'll credit them back the $200, or we'll take that $200 and flip it to another allowance they may be going over on.
And with that, you got to be a little bit careful. Make sure you document because we'll get to the end of a build and they'll be like, hey, I had $200 left over on my exterior door or my front door. And where did that go? So if you're not tracking those numbers very good, and what we do now is we document it on a change order. So if they've got a credit and instead of us writing them a check for that credit, they want to move it, we do a change order to say, hey, I'm moving the $200 credit I had from my front door to my tile or cabinets or whatever it is. And so that way we know where that money went. And that's kind of one of the hardest things on a fixed fee contract is giving them a set price for those allowances. And that's just because things go up and down.
Yeah, but some people like, some people like nicer things than others. And the one that I'm dealing with right now is pretty cool because she told me to put everything in there, but she's like, more than likely, after I go through it all, I'm going to have you pull it all off and I'll just purchase it myself.
Which
So I was
is
like,
okay
all
with
right.
us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It basically, that's smart, because what that does is say, okay, because this is something that aggravates me. And this is why we do an all-in bid or an all-in estimate. When I say all-in, I mean, we give them our labor costs and we give them the allowances. Like for a bathroom, we're going all in, the plumbing fixtures and stuff like that. And the reason we do that is so they know the actual cost, where other contractors will go in and they will give them a labor only cost and make them responsible for the rest of the materials. The problem is that labor cost may be $1,500 for a shower, but the client's like, man, they're $1,500 for that shower and you are $10,000 for the same shower. Well, that's because we're including all the minor materials and the allowance items, plus the plumber's cost, plus the, electrician's cost if there's movement for the lights and different things.
Thanks for joining us today. As always, we are grateful for our listeners and your continued support. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media via Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Get more info at our website, www.thehomebuildingshow.com. And as always, remember who we are, the Home Building and Remodeling Show.